Hello there everyone, sorry to surprise you, it's your favorite programming error that just refuses to be fixed code here, and welcome to a little bit of a different upload. You might not be used to video uploads on this channel because it is mostly gameplay VODs from my streams. However, when it has come to my attention that Tribe 9 got an unofficial offline release that was fan-made, I couldn't resist talking about it. It is no secret, nobody's surprise that I am a big Tribe 9 fan. I was even part of the official XP Vanguard program back when the game was still running. Now, the game did have a bit of a rough start, and the higher-ups at Akatsuki Games decided that it was undeserving of being given a chance to recover, which yes, I am still mad about. However, that hasn't stopped people from appreciating the world of Tribe 9, of CodeErr, continuing the story in an unofficial way, and as we have here right now, a fan even making the game playable again in offline mode. This is called Tribe 9.0. It's an unofficial patch that you can download. In order to get this working, all you need is the files for the game, which can still be downloaded on Steam, and the offline patch itself, which you can get from GitHub. Both links will be down in the description, and I will quickly run through how this whole thing works, what you need to do to set it up, and after that I will run along through a few glitches that are still in the most recent release of this patch as of right now, which is this the 20th of July. So at the time you see this, some of these things will have already been patched, maybe some will still be there, but I wanted to talk about them on this video because sadly there is no good way to report bugs to whoever's working on this directly on the GitHub page. So view this video also as a bug report on top of things. Now I will also mention that if you're wondering how well this game works, generally it works well. It is still a little bit incomplete and a little bit more laggy than the official release was when that was still a thing, but that is to be expected. It does generally, however, have all the functions you would expect, and that is more than we could have possibly asked for at this point, considering how the game just prematurely got shut down like that. Now, anything else I need to add? Not really. So, let me show you how exactly to run this wonderful patch. Alright, if you've downloaded the folders, you will essentially be looking at this right here. We have the patch at the top, and at the bottom here we have the actual game files. So, in order to get this running, you just need to grab all these files here from the patch and drag them into the game folder. This will take a moment, and you will notice this little message here, which will tell you that there is one file that already exists. All you want to do is simply replace that one. And with all that said and done, you should now be good to boot up the game. Now once you've opened up the game, you will see that the title screen will match whichever city you last played in when you last logged out of the game before it shut down. Now if you were to press start right now, it would plop you right into the location where you logged out from the last time. Which, while it's fun, is sadly a little bit of a problem, because since your entire save file got wiped, that means that your quest progress does not match where you are in the game right now, which means you will not have a party, you will not be able to run or walk diagonally, you will essentially be stuck with gameplay from the tutorial segment while being in a late game area, which will obviously a bit of a mess. So the first thing you want to do when you open up the game here is to go over here into the menu and delete your player data. This will reset your position, and you press start now. It will take a moment to load, show you this empty screen where you press start, and after this it should throw you back to the start of the game and begin the introduction. So if you see this menu, you know you've done everything correctly. Congratulations, you can now enjoy more of Tribe 9. Now, before I go into going through all the bugs and glitches I have found while playing, I do want to quickly talk about some of the balancing changes that have happened in this patch. For one thing, because it is no longer an online experience, but rather an offline experience, they have made it easier to gather materials. Which means While, yeah, your chests will mostly give you, as you just saw there, money and tension points, which is normal, but you will still get your Partymon parts. And when you get them, you will notice they will almost always have a gold substat, and they have a high probability of having 2 gold substats, even without par recipes. Now this is, without a doubt, meant to make it less grindy now that you can actually, you know, play the game offline rather than a daily online experience. You will also notice that there is no cooldown. Things will immediately respawn when an area is reloaded and can be collected again. You will also get better drops, generally, from battles from what I have noticed. I think the XP gain has also been increased, because I have switched my party multiple times, and even so, I have still managed to get decent levels. Now, the thing about things always, you know, resetting immediately, and there not being a cooldown, also applies to your daily quests. These are no longer really daily quests per se, they are just quests. You can do an unlimited amount of them every single day. The second you complete a quest, it immediately reapplies itself, immediately shows back up in the menu, and daily challenge attempted will never increase. It will always be 0 out of 3. If I complete this, it will still say 0 out of 3, and I can repeat the same mission over and over again if I so choose. There is no cooldown, no nothing, because it is now something to play at your leisure. So that's another fun little balancing change. Another balancing change obviously being the fact that the gacha system is no longer required. You have just every character unlocked from the beginning of the game, but you can still pull on the gacha for tension cards and to get duplicates of characters to power them up. This will not cost you anything, you can just do it however many times you want, which I think might be a little bit too broken, and you can argue about the Partymons as well, because I also think that being able to get super high rarity Partymons without making any par recipes might be a little bit too powerful. But that is just my opinion. In the end, it's for everyone to decide for themselves. Now, as we go into this segment, you might be wondering, why are you doing a little bug report session over here? Well, there are a few reasons. Reason number 1 is obviously because I want people to enjoy this game, because I am a big fan of Tribe 9 and want to spread the joy of it, even now that it's shut down. So I want to warn you about things you have to watch out for. Some of these bugs can be avoided if you're careful, so it's just a little bit of a heads up for your benefit. Another reason I'm doing this is because there's always the off chance that whoever is working on this offline patch might be seeing this video. And since there is no good way to report bugs as of now, I figured I might as well share what I have found in this little video I'm doing right here, and allow you all to share anything you have found down in the comments below, because I am curious to see what other kinds of insane weird little glitches and quirks this new offline version has in store for us. So, without further ado, how about we just get started? Now, the first bug we're gonna talk about is something related to gameplay progression, which is a little bit annoying, obviously. And that is the following. Sometimes your main objective will fail to load in. If we're looking right now, you can see at this point in the story, I'm approaching the Aquamarine Park, and if we look at the map, you will see that my current objective is this one here, where we have to step in, and once we enter the building, it should, technically, load in the next story segment. As you can see here, it is not doing that. And if we look at the map, we should be in the required area, and it is not loading in. I have already tried looking around, I have tried proceeding on to the next area. This is something that apparently can happen from time to time. Not sure how common it is, but definitely a glitch that sadly does hinder your story progression. And speaking of story progression, another bug related to your story progress is, as you might already be able to tell, I have another objective: head to the designated location at the Marine Biology Research Center, which is a quest I've already done. Yes, so bug number 2 is, while sometimes your main objective will fail to load in, there is also the possibility that one of your old objectives doesn't get overwritten. This is an objective I have already completed. If I move here, and I can also try to step back out and step back in to try and load it. Normally, when you enter this area, a cutscene plays. You can already see there's a quest circle here. I'll try to load it in like you're supposed to. I've already seen this cutscene play out, which is probably why it's not triggering anymore, but it is still marked as a quest, even though I've already completed it. So that is another thing that sadly is a bit buggy about this at present, which is that old objectives sometimes fail to disappear. And a third one related to story progression. Yes, I am not quite done yet. As you can see, we already have the quest to hand over our quest objective and confront numbers 1. This is a quest that only is supposed to come in much later in progression. As you can see, I haven't even gotten the map for this area yet, much less proceeded to gather the castella, or as they say, the semi-baked cake. So there's no way I should have this objective. So, problem number 3 for story progression, future objectives can sometimes show up when they're not supposed to be there. Now, next up, let's move on to side quest bugs. Now, for the first side quest bug that I have discovered, that is that some quests are infinitely repeatable, as in you can interact with the ending part of the quest over and over. Here we have CodeErr, whose objective I've already completed. This is the last step in this quest line. When you talk to him, he will give you the dialogue for having found him, and you will trigger the quest complete screen. Now, if I reload the area by exiting and coming back in, you will see he has spawned back in for some reason, and if we talk to him again, you will notice he has the same dialogue, and once we finish talking to him, even though we did already complete the quest, it counts as being completed again. Now, this is not the only side quest bug that exists, so let's move straight on to the next one I have discovered. Now, as you can see, I'm currently in a location where the side quest indicator tells me there's supposed to be something. You might already be able to guess what this is if you've played Tribe 9 before, and that is we are currently underground with the mission to take out some drones. What happened here was, at one point, I went to this area and triggered a fight with the 2 mice enemies that are here, and it dragged the drone into the fight with them. Now, once the fight was done, all 3 enemies, the mice and the drone, were defeated. However, I did not get the clear on the map. And this enemy, this drone that is required for the objective, does not respawn, because it assumes I have defeated it, but hasn't cleared it on the map as an objective, which is why this quest is now incompletable. So that is another bug you definitely have to watch out for when playing this game. Another thing that we're gonna be talking about is something that could be considered less of a bug presently and more of an aspect of it being incomplete as of this patch, and that is something that nags at my completionist mindset. That is medals. If you go in here, you will already know if you go to play a card that you can collect medals in this game. Now, I'm not sure if which medals are even obtainable right now in the first place. I assume most of them aren't even obtainable, like the ones for killing 2000 of one enemy type, killing 2000 enemies as one character. I don't know if the counters for that are even implemented. I do, however, know that medals can be obtained, because I have obtained one medal for helping a certain NPC a specific number of times. However, you will notice that it says that I have no medals. That is because whenever you exit the game and load back into the game, all your medals are deleted. Your medals are not saved as of this moment, which is, in my opinion, a little bit of a shame. And another thing, while we're on the subject of completionist mindset, and is also somewhat connected to medals, you will notice, even though I've used these characters and even leveled them up a decent bit, their friendship level is still at 0. So friendship level, as of right now, as of the most recent patch, is also something that doesn't yet increase whatsoever. Speaking of things that don't quite save yet, like the medals, there are some more things that you need to watch out for. For example, everything that is at all connected to online features does not work. Obviously, that includes delivery requests, where you can in fact request an item, but once you exit out and go back into the menu, it will have vanished. Now, this isn't really a problem, because as you might be able to tell, there are no other players who can fulfill your requests if you are playing in a single player offline game. However, another thing that doesn't work, which honestly for some people is definitely a little bit of a problem, is the fact that you can't customize your name. We already talked about how your medals don't save, so there is nothing to display there. However, if you try to edit your player name, which you can do at any point, you will run into the problem of it absolutely failing. It will try, and it will lose connection. And you can retry however many times you want. The only way to escape from this infinite cycle is to hit return to title, which leaves you back here. Another thing that is also connected to the whole return to title thing is that you can complete your zero missions. This is something that the game has no problem with. As you can see here, I can collect them, I can even get the completion stamps, which will help me unlock my level cap, and it even opens the gates that are progression locked until you have enough of these stamps. All of that works fine, no problems there whatsoever. However, you will notice that I have here the reward for completing 25% or more in terms of city progress. However, you might already be able to tell what will happen, because medals don't quite work properly. You can already figure that I will not get what I want from clicking this. However, it gets much worse than that. Not only will I not get anything, it will trap me in the same retry connection loop as before that can only be broken by returning to title and loading the game back up again. Now, another thing where you could argue about it being either a bug or just a simply not yet implemented feature is the fact that, as you can see, we're on the gacha screen and there is the current count over here to the side, which is the pity system. Now this counter will not increase no matter how many times you pull. This is a little bit annoying if you are very unlucky and don't really get your 3 stars. However, since the gacha rates in this game have generally been very good, I assume you will not be needing the pity system anyway. But it is still a little bit disappointing to see that this number doesn't work. And also on the other side of me you will see the special invitation, another counter that doesn't increase. So neither the pity system nor the special invitation are available at the time of me recording this. Which, again, since the gacha is so generous, is not that much of a problem, plus you start the game off with every character unlocked anyway, so make of that what you will. Now another thing that doesn't quite yet work is the conversion of tension cards. Now you will maybe notice as you play that all these duplicate materials are not being tracked at all yet in this patch, which means that if you get duplicates from the gacha or anything else, you will not earn any of this currency. And that also means if you try to convert one of these cards here to free up space, you will run into a problem we've already seen. The infinite retry loop that ends with you simply returning to title eventually and being unable to complete this action. Now, this wouldn't be that much of a problem if it weren't for the simple fact that your inventory for tension cards is actually limited, which means if you get too many duplicates of the same card, surprise surprise, eventually your inventory will be full and you cannot draw any more cards, which could be considered a problem in the long run. Now you're probably wondering, are there any other areas where you can get trapped in the endless loop of reloading or returning to the title screen? Well, there is at least one other area that I know of, and that is Sparrow's shop. If we go over here and want to buy one of the new recipes, then as soon as we hit the purchase button, we will once again enter the loop of nothingness. We can hit retry however many times we want, it will not do anything, and eventually we will just have to give up and accept our fate and return to title. Except what I have noticed is that when it comes to Barrow's shop, not even return to title will do anything, and that one will actually freeze you like this, so it's technically an even worse fate. The only way to escape once this thing happens is to simply close the game and open it again. Now there are also some bugs that are directly related to collectibles you find in the world, such as sometimes chests will fail to unlock. As you can tell, I already killed the big enemy that was supposed to be in this room, however, the chest over here still remains locked and uninteractable. There's nothing I can do about this one, and I'm sure if this game gets patched more, then eventually this will no longer be an issue. But right now, there is a chance you will run into this kind of problem from time to time, leaving some chests sadly unlockable. Now for these minor problems, I didn't really get a good recording because they only happened to me once as I played the story, and I'm not sure if I can accurately recreate them. However, these are mostly related to XP, and it has already been recorded on the website that, for example, your characters sometimes appearing in places where they shouldn't be is something that is known, and it is not something that really affects gameplay all that much. It's just a fun little visual glitch. Another thing that I have personally encountered during the 0 XP game is that my first runner, which is Akatsuki in this case, was actually able to get all the way back to home base and score a point. However, that point did not get counted towards the scoreboard because it is not supposed to happen, since Zero's match is supposed to be scripted and Akatsuki is supposed to fail running to home base. So yeah, just a fun little detail I felt like I might as well mention here. And that is basically it. Now I will say, before I wrap things up, that all the gameplay you have seen in this video has been recorded within Tribe 9.0. That includes obviously the bugs and glitches, but it also includes a little gameplay montage at the start, as well as the gameplay montage when I was talking about XP and stuff. So this means, as you can tell, this is functional. This works. It might still have a few problems, but it's a functional offline patch to keep playing a game that got shut down way too soon. I'm certainly excited to see what the future brings as this gets updated and more bugs get removed. Who knows, maybe in the future I will be able to do what I never did in the full release and take on the last level of the Red Limit series bosses. I am definitely expectant and excited to see this patch slowly but surely build up to almost being as great as the game was. Now naturally, it will not be quite as good because online features will probably remain absent since it is an offline patch after all. But yeah, you can play this right now. I already explained to you how to do it. It is up to you on whether or not you want to try it out. Now, of course, if you want to see more of me, on the off chance that you think I am mildly entertaining, then I'd be glad to see you on one of my streams. You can catch me on Twitch, link is down in the description if you want. You can also head to my Discord to talk about many other things with other people in the community. But I'm wrapping it up for here, so thank you so much for joining me for this slightly different upload, and maybe I'll see you in the future. I'm heading out. See ya!